Well, greetings, everybody. The intro has played. Clap, clap, clap. Word of warning, and yes, word of warning in advance. The intro played, but the outro seems to be a bit of a problem. We haven't got there yet, though. But if in an hour's time you don't get a proper ending, you'll know what's happened. Anyway, greetings, everybody. My name is Mal Burns. That's M-A-L, one word, B-U-R-N-S, another word. But you find me on Twitter in a squashed format. Yes. I'm being compressed like everything else these days. So it's twitter.com/Malburns, M-A-L-B-U-R-N-S, all one word. An additional feed, if you like, twitter.com/Metaworld News. Again, two words squashed into one, because that feed has information about virtual spaces, sort of collaboration, social spaces on the web, whereas my main feed has got everything in it, all sorts, of which I have selected some headlines for you this week. And the headlines I've sorted for you are, generally speaking, for the week ending today, which is the 9th of August, 2020. Yes, so I got that all out the way, didn't I? Sitting next to me here, twiddling knobs that you can't actually see, is James Outloud. Welcome, James.
Well, thank you, Mal, and I'm trying all kinds of new things today, technically, so lots of twiddling going on. But it seems like it's working, so we shall
Hopefully
see.
it is. Yep.
Hopefully it is.
Okay. Now we've got multiple extra screens open and things, and obviously, the main things you do, of course, James, is you share my desktop, or rather, I share my desktop with you, and you in turn share it with our viewers, thanks to the wonderful mixing setup at OBS and everything else. So yeah, jolly good. And you talk from time to time too,
I
don't
do
you?
talk from time to
Yeah, I
time.
don't need to get behind your chair and turn the key or anything.
No,
You actually
no.
do it. You actually do it if you're on a chord these days. You got a good old AI in you there, I think.
Perhaps. My cyber chip,
So,
my Neuralink implant, right.
yes, well, exactly. Yes. Anyway, a bit cheeky there. Let's get on with the show. So to speak. I gave you the date, didn't I? The
Yep,
9th
yep.
of August. Yeah. Okay. So if I forget it now, it won't matter because I've already said it. Yay. Right. Let me see. Okay. The first link I've got open on screen here, we might as well go to that fairly briefly.
All right.
I still have to read out the links from the side here where I've got them. This is a type of good business. Maria's site, of course, but this is a post written by David Kariuki, and it's about VR Lab, a collaboration app which is helping builders adapt to a new normal after the pandemic. Now, these aren't virtual world builders. These are like construction site builders. And they've got an app called VR Collab that allows the users in the construction industry to coordinate and collaborate on projects in real time from different construction sites and offices. And it's witnessed a twice and a half. Is that a phrase? Twice and a half?
Sure.
Must be.
Yep.
Increase in monthly sign-ups since coronavirus, etc. So some interesting sort of side news from Hypergrid Business there. Nothing to do with the hypergrid, I might add. Neither is this. Now, my next picture is appropriately here because it makes a segue. This site is not technically live yet, though you can go to it should you want. I believe, of course, it's not in my link, so I haven't got it visible. I think it's just metastellar.com you need. This is another site now hosted by Maria Kovalov. And I'm on the, there's a number of authors on the, science fiction people. It's a science fiction, or speculative fiction to be precise. Site with authors, reviews, short stories, you name it. And there's a number, there's some old reviews up here, but there's a number of new things. Like somebody's written a new appreciation of the Dune saga, which is coming out shortly as a new film. So it's appropriate. I'm sort of involved with it too. I'm not listed there yet, I noticed, because my job is more to do with the broadcast. In other words, Metastellar actually has a YouTube channel, and there will be programs and stuff on the YouTube channel too. Discussions, interviews with authors, that kind of thing. Anyway, as I said, they have a really long post to begin with. So these are the latest posts. As you can see, the pictures look at nice slick CSS there. Come on, go back. I'm waiting for Dean to reappear. There we
Okay.
are, 55 years later. Yeah, unbelievable. 55 years later, Dean
Yeah.
still rises. Um, anyway, I thought I'd give you a sneak preview of that. It's not strictly speaking in the remit of this show, but it is a hypergrid business subsite. And well, it's got its own domain, but it's been run by the service from Hypergrid Business. So there you go. All right, I'm going to put that away before we get right into the rabbit hole. I'll
All
put that
right.
one
All
away
right.
too.
Sounds good.
And right now we are on a site called. Oh yes, there it is. Oh yeah, of course. I just loaded this a minute ago. Okay, I have a little story on this one. This is a site called Vroom dot Buzz
Oh yeah, I
VRROM dot
remember. Yep.
BUZZ. Yeah, we had them the other week, didn't we? Had
Yeah.
great
Yep.
fun with reading that one out. Artist Calfe on grappling with VR. Now, this is really an interview story about Calfe. Um, generally, she had a show that was put off by the COVID thing, but she's got a show that's just opened in the Serpentine Gallery over the road here, in fact, in Hyde Park, in London. And I
Mm.
assume, it doesn't say it, but I assume that they're taking all the social distancing precautions that art galleries are taking these days. It's right in the middle of the park. It's a small gallery, so it should probably be quite easy to employ, spatial distancing there. However, right,
However.
some of you may remember a Calfe under her avatar name China Tracy, and in Second Life many years ago. And in fact, this is the second time she's been at this particular gallery, the Serpentine Gallery. I actually had a final time in 2007, believe it or not, because it seems a long while ago, isn't it? When I went to her first show there, and she was showing, she had a build in Second Life called RMB City, which was a massive sort of prototype city that she'd built in Second Life. Um, it was a bit arty and whatever, but it was an integrated kind of city thing. When I went to the Serpentine exhibition, she had it wasn't a full scale model. It probably would have been bigger than a park, but I mean, it was an actual model in a big glass cage of the city itself. So she had the actual model as well as on screen the identical virtual reality model built in Second Life. And this was all the rage for a few weeks anyway. She's very. I spent quite a bit of time with her. She's rather nice, and she spoke English reasonably well and chatty. I remember the event because it was full of people, who going to see this trendy artist in the Serpentine Gallery, and none of them had a clue how to use the computer screens that they've been put in front of them, let alone how to navigate using an avatar or anything else. So I had my work cut out that evening. It was a sort of volunteer tutor
Mm.
showing them how to do it. So yeah, a memorable evening. But anyway, so I was quite surprised when I found out she is back now. Now, this is a retrospective thing, but reading through it, it runs to September 13th, by the way. So for those of you in London, reviews have been positive so far, etc., etc. A little bit about her. This picture here is actually the original RMB City, as it was in Second Life. As you can see, well, that was a big aerial shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot in there if you actually dive down and into it. Different sort of views of it here. And yeah, it's part of her catalogue, so it is featured in the exhibition. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much of it shows there. Um, Cafe is actually Chinese, of course, which in some ways might be contentious these days. So she's had exhibitions over here for ages, but she's well, she comments on things like misunderstanding in and out of China, but she also goes into her work also goes into the relationship not between Chinese and Trump or anything contemporary like that, but China and Russia. Oddly enough,
Ah, okay.
a centerpiece of the exhibition is her feature film Nova, which speaks about the ties between Russia and China. And the latter created its first computer in the middle of the 20th century. Yeah. Well, I don't know where that. Yeah, I don't know. It's on the record as to who invented the first computer. I mean, arguably it was the Enigma machine in the Second World War. But if
Right,
you go back far enough, you've got
right,
that
right.
Chinese number counting thing, of which I've got a miniature here somewhere too. I can't remember what it's called, but it's just
An
sort of
abacus?
lots of abacus. That's it.
Abacus, yep.
It's like a big wooden. Well, mine's a big wooden thing with about 10 sticks,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's about 10 balls on each stick. And the idea is, you count the unit, then the sums of tens and 20s, no, hundreds. And, every time you reach a figure in, you get 10 balls in the first one, you take them all off, but you add a ball to the tens. And then when they've got 10 tens, you take them all off and you add one ball to the hundreds, and so on. So you can count to vast amounts and stuff just using these balls on sticks.
Right.
Anyway, so that's abacus, and that is fun. But I do digress. And this, strictly speaking, is just a little bit of annex information for our news thing here. Um, but a lot of interesting reading about her there. And a lot of her work does involve virtual reality, so it's not just the RMB cities. Quite a lot of other stuff in there. So, as I said, that is vroom. Yes, indeed, vroom,
Vroom.
vroom. VRROOM dot BUZZ. Lots of double letters there. There's two R's, then two O's, then two Z's. Cool. What's the web coming to? I don't know. Anyway, let's put her away for now and move on to. Don't tell me it's a black screen.
It's a black screen.
It's a blank screen anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's on. Let me
A
do a
blank that's
reload.
black. A blank black.
It was okay. Now this is quite interesting. I mean, we have seen there's another piece here about the most popular sort of treadmill thing you can get, but this is quite interesting. It's a headset called the Ghost Pacer, and it actually offers you, physical running in the real world. You get your own holographic training partner. Obviously, you can't run together, for example, in the COVID world. So what you do is you go out on your own for a run, but you wear a headset that gives you a companion that runs with you and actually helps you train. And although I'm if you're into physical exercise like running and things like that, I would have thought the last thing you want is a helmet on your head as well. But then again, I don't want a helmet on my head even when I'm asleep. So, um, swings and roundabouts really. But this strikes me as actually a very good idea. If the helmet was lightweight enough, and you could breathe and stuff, while you're running easily as normal, then the idea of a partner is quite a good idea. And I suppose ultimately this is the sort of thing that is probably slightly more AR than VR, and would therefore you might ultimately be able to use this with a pair of glasses that are very lightweight or contact lenses rather than having the full kit on top of you. Anyway, there is a little video there at the site, and there's a bit. Okay, somewhere here. Oh, here he is.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
And there's a virtual. There he is. There's his companion who's going to train him. Hey, look at that! What better friend than you could need in these COVID days? Well, that's a nice. Never mind.
And do you suppose
You,
that recording would be of the same person, so you can compete against yourself? So could the hologram be record yourself and then try and beat your time.
I really don't know. I mean, you'd think there'd be something like a top score thing in it.
Yeah,
Um,
because they do that in video games, especially racing games. You can,
yeah,
race a car, record what you did, and then play it back and race against that.
here's how it works. The Ghost Pacer companion app users can select a target pace or a previous workout to race against.
Ah, okay.
The holographic avatar will appear on the track road path, allowing them to race against their digital adversary for competitive edge,
Hmm.
or slow down and the hologram will leave you behind. Keep on pace and the model will jog side by side with you throughout your run. You can even integrate existing Strava runs into training, opening up access to thousands of other predetermined
Yeah,
routes,
yeah.
which I presume is the official route. There's also Ghost Racer Pro, which is a more advanced version of the headset capable of delivering custom daily training plans compatible with select smartwatches. Looks like there's an example of actually they are more like glasses, really, aren't they? They weigh just 3.17 ounce, and they claim it to be the lightest headset on the market, which preempts what I was just saying, really, doesn't it?
Mm.
That's in large part to its focus on outdoor activities. So anyway, where were we with this one? Did I give you an address? Um, I must have, shouldn't I have done? Ghost.
I don't recall
Um,
rightly.
I seem to have lost it now. If I did, um, oh, mind you, maybe just it may be further down after the ones I've posted here. Yeah, here we are. This is VR Scout. So VR Scouts or VRSCOUT.com. And that was a couple of days ago, in fact. Um, my feed actually has a load of links since then, but they're ones that for one reason or another I haven't loaded today. I don't know. They're anecdotal links, shall we say. Okay, moving to the next one. And this is Tech Republic. I can tell that because I can see their logo on screen. Their actual address is techrepublic.com. So TECHREPUBLIC.com. And again, this is a bit similar to the Hypergrid Business article, actually. Companies are adopting AR and VR to adapt to the COVID 19 epidemic, but obviously they're not talking about construction workers here. They're sort of talking about a range of other company adapting cases, rudimentary sort of stuff. But if you're following all the different enterprises that are getting involved in the necessary future, then some interesting ones are mentioned here. So, as I said, VR Scout. Oops, sorry, not VR Scout. We did that. TechRepublic.com for that one. Forbes.com. I haven't loaded this, but they had a in their virtual reality section. They had an article called "Why We Suffer from Zoom Fatigue." And this is a question being asked all over the place, but in this particular answer, they said it's all about the sound. I figure um, uh, uh, Phil Rosedale may get a kick out of this one. It's all about the sound. But even in video and virtual worlds, it's, it's just the way the sound is presented that's actually quite important. So an overview there at Forbes.com. I'm sure you can find that without me putting it on screen.
Yeah, we're gonna need
Right.
audio engineers for every every Zoom person, because audio's not easy. Audio's
It
tough.
isn't. I mean,
No.
there has been a lot of talk. I don't mean publicly on the webs or anything else like that, but
Yeah.
amongst people I've talked to about this, um, you know, um, high fidelity's simple reincarnation is an audio thing. We've had VVox in virtual worlds for quite a long while, but there's quite a lot of other audio um, things getting involved with the concept of how spatial audio will work. And where Philip Rosedale's solution at the moment is this: you've got to imagine you've got a plan. Like you've
Yeah.
unfolded
Yep.
a map of somewhere you're going, and you've got a plan. It's just two dimensional, flat on the ground, and everybody who logs in to a central position on this map, but they can break off and have little sub conversations. And the more they move away from someone else, then for that someone else, their voice gets fainter and fainter. It doesn't ever go completely away. So if they've walked off into what I would consider out of voice distance, their voice never seems to go completely. There's kind of
Mm.
this muffled sound. It's like you can talk to somebody, but there's like if you imagine you're in a field, a middle of a field, talking to people, and that somehow there's a whole wall of people at the perimeter, and you're hearing muffled voices from them.
Yeah.
Whereas in fact you really don't want them to be there. You've moved quite a long way from them. So I mean, a lot of it depends on whether the voice is controlled by the environment and thus the avatar's position in the environment, or whether it's controlled by you, the avatar itself, and it's the environment itself that has to adapt to you. Those are two very different ways of, it's the difference between the microphone having dominance and the speakers having dominance, if
Right,
you
right.
view it in a certain way. So, also, you have to think of the practicalities. I can tell you here in the virtual world, for example, spatial audio is wonderful because as people walk away from you, their voices gradually fade out, and if they get to the room upstairs here, you won't hear them at all. Well, it's upstairs and over to the front, sort of thing. In fact, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that is even the case on the stage we're on, but never mind. Um, so that is wonderful. But when we do shows like this, James and I are on direct line to line telephone style voice, be it Skype or be it we use Discord, but there's plenty of others you can use too. And the idea is it's the same with panels. I mean, if you watch a news program on TV, obviously there's an anchor in the news studio is all set up, for capturing his voice, and there's probably a mic around his neck. But when he's got guests in the studio, they all get mics around their neck too. So the sound recording doesn't take the space of the studio into account at all. Its job is to balance the levels of all the people on the panel so that they sound about the same as if they're all having a conversation in a room. They don't want one of the guests to sound like he's in the corner or we're still outside the room, so all that is taken into account. And for that matter, I'm sure many of you have had webcams. Well, we had early incarnations of our show that were using webcams. We'd find somebody logged in and their computer would sound like an engine in the background and hiding their voice, and other people would be in a room that sounded like it was sort of a Alexander Palace type echo chamber. And because some people had one kind of mic, some people another, and all those sort of things, technical things come into it. But really, yeah, ideally, you want something that combines both the immediate one-to-one audio with the spatial audio too. For example, if you come within 5 feet of somebody else, virtually speaking, of course, it would lock maybe into a one-to-one audio. And anybody entering that little circle you'd lose the spatial because they're in such close proximity. But when they moved out of that inner circle, then the spatial would take over. And I gathered the high fidelity setup, Philip Broading can actually do that, or can be made to do that. I don't know if I know how to, but I'm sure guess I can ask if the way exists yet. Anyway, moving on. As you said, James, audio is
Yeah.
quite a big thing,
Right.
and we've had other items on the news here actually in the past about. I think there have been actual virtual worlds, as it were, that have been completely sound based. Friends of ours like Dizzy Banjo, will be coming to places like Second Life and actually create installations where there are objects of sound, and you will hear multiple sounds from multiple objects, but the actual mixer balance would change depending on where you moved. And then there are other scripts, proximity scripts and things that would detect when you got particularly close, and they'd fire up another musical sequence. So it was always changing depending on how you moved around in what you might call the soundstage. And that was done without visuals. The idea is you walk your avatar around in the dark, and you use your arrow keys or whatever you use to go forward, back, left, and right to sense your way through this audio kind of wall, you know. But you can't actually see what you're doing, so there's no point in putting a headset on for that.
Hmm.
There's nowhere to go or see. There was just an immersive environment to quite literally hear. When it was done in Second Life, there were actually objects to see, but since then, I've seen exhibits done where I think they've done it in the real world too, where they put you in a place with no windows and no lights, and you just have to faff around in the dark,
Right, right.
following audio cues. So it's not all all necessarily virtual. In fact, so while I'm at it, because I'm just can't resist going off course a bit. I'm just going to load our picture thingy here. Oh, yeah, that's funny, isn't it?
Uh, I can't read it.
Yeah, it's a bit small. It's a notice saying
Oh,
you're doing
okay, right.
marvelous, time to prepare for Sunday's Metaworld. Written anyway for this show. Um, but there is, I did have it here somewhere. Oh, maybe it's actually in the broadcast folder anyway. Um, well, while I'm at it, here's an advert for the Open Sim Festival,
Oh, okay.
which is now happening in September, I do believe. Oh, and isn't that a nice picture of the week? Um, I can't get any replies, so I won't actually say guess. In Second Life, and they've been elsewhere on occasion, there's a band called the Virtual Live Band. The
Oh,
four members are scattered all over the planet, actually. This is just a quick shot of them playing. The drummer's not on the picture here, but the vocalist there is the lady on the right. And their guitarist who's in Germany is lower left. And then Brandon, the bassist, who I know, Mambo, is up top there. He's got his keyboards and everything, but as far as I know, I've only ever heard him playing bass.
oh, okay, all right.
But that's how they look in the real world whilst they're sending their thing into the virtual, as it were. Right, no, so I've got to go back to. Oh, let's go to where are my current resources? It could be there. It's no, I don't think so. Okay, let's go back to pictures. Um, seriously, there is a reason I'm doing this. Um, I can't find what I look. Oh, here we are. Yes, because we're talking about audio and stuff like that in the real world and whatever. This is an installation in Japan. Right, it's Team Lab's Universal Water Particles on a rock. But this is real. Those aren't avatars. These are real people in the real world at an installation that basically is designed to really kind of almost mimic something you would normally view as an avatar in the virtual world.
Hmm.
And just look at that picture. I was kind of impressed. I thought that looks, yeah, that looks not half bad kind of thing.
It looks like
Whereas my,
a cave setup. You know, the old rooms with projectors. Because I can see that the images on the floor is projected on the people in the foreground.
yeah, I think it is projections, but I guess it's just the sort of you can imagine that in the virtual where the floor's got a particle texture or something moving.
Hmm.
Nothing is moving here because it's still photo, but you feel like it should be and
I would
probably
imagine it
is.
moving. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just I got distracted there when we were talking about audio, but
Right.
it's just another picture. It's just another picture I picked up this week, which is an example of sometimes there are things in the real world that could be virtual and
Hmm.
vice versa, and certainly going into a completely blank space or even a space like that and following audio cues,
Yeah.
be interesting. Of course, a lot of it would depend on the real world. So, well, if it was VR, you'd have to have a big enough room area to walk around to get the effect. If it
Right.
was simply something like Second Life on screen, where the world moves around you as you navigate in it, then the size is immaterial
Yep.
because there's no walls to bump into while you're
Right. Right.
navigating.
Cool.
Well, at least you hope there aren't. Right.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, companies adopting for the AR, whatever. That was techrepublic.com. So we can put that one away, I think. And we can move on now to Road to VR, another popular site. We don't get so much coming from them these days. I mean, they're still, prolific, but I think they're probably, and I say this generally speaking, I've got a feeling that most of the posts coming from them are actually focusing on games more than worlds, as I would call them. Anyway, Wolf 3D is avatar making business in Estonia. They do 3D scanning and they make your avatar,
Oh, right.
and
Right.
they've raised $1.3 million in the latest round. They are actually the same people that made, well, my secondary avatar rather than my mesh one in the original High Fidelity. Was made by these people, and I also have it now in Vicadia because anything I had in High Fidelity will come in there. I believe you can use it to make avatars for Mozilla's
Yeah.
Mozilla
Yeah,
hubs
we've
as
done
well.
that. Yep.
Yeah, and they've anything that's on the web and fairly simple and meshy or whatever can they can normally come up with something. And the nice thing is that they've come up with a reasonably good avatar simply based on a selfie photo. They don't have to scan you in 3D or anything. It seems to work just from a picture of your face.
Hmm.
There are other systems that try and do the same thing, where you actually have to give them the front and the sides and the back, and then they kind of stitch together an overall texture for you. But they do capture the faces very well. The one I have in High Fidelity, actually, I look at it and I think, oh, that's not me. And then I think, well, hang on, it is.
Right.
Because they've got the face, they haven't got, they've even got the slight remnants of what is quite a full beard at the moment, but
Right. Right.
it looks like strands and what they did.
It's still
But
kind of a cartoony appearance, though. It's certainly not going for photorealism.
no, no.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if you've got lip sync working on them, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It's fine.
And I think what they pick up the eyes, which is a very important part of somebody's face. He
Hmm.
says he with his shades on there.
Right.
That's because I don't
Right.
want you to
Right. The
see
guy with shades.
you should see the mess these eyes are in. Actually, definitely lack of sleep. But no, apart from that, also the structure of things like cheekbones and the general structure of the face. If they can pick that up from the single selfie, then they can be forgiven for not having particularly good hair or accuracy on features that are less distinctive. Not they don't focus on beards because presumably not everybody has one. They're more focused on cheekbones and
Hmm.
eyes and ears and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, quite good. So they have got money for development, and the company's software is normally called Ready Player Me. By the way, can't think where
Right.
they sorted that. Can't think where they got that title from, but
Ha.
there we go. Anyway, so that post is at road2vr.com. So you want road to VR, ROADTOVR.com. And I moved down the thing. Oh, and I think we got Gizmodo coming up.
Okay.
Yes, we have. Yeah. Now this is a site called
Nice.
Gizmodo. This is fun. I thought we'd been through everything accessory wise, but no, we've got motorized shoes,
Mm.
which could be the key to making virtuality fully immersive.
Hurrah.
Yes. Yeah, there had to be something we hadn't done yet.
Right. Right.
Okay, this, as I said, Gizmodo. So this is GIZMODO.com. And yeah, this is posted on Wednesday and filed under VR. Gosh golly. um, no shortage of people trying to make virtual reality gaming more immersive experience. So you can go to arenas, you can strap on PC backpacks, there are gloves and shoes, even VR treadmills, but nothing seems to have that full immersion factor. Though, because the person playing still needs to sit down to game, the haptic technology isn't responsive enough, or because the headset is too large and expensive. But no! Yes. Software engineer Alexander Evans is making his own 3D printed VR shoes, and they
Mm.
look like the best VR accessory to date. Now, who's the author of this? Joanna Nellius. I think somebody paid her off, by the sound of it. Either that or she really is impressed.
Right, right.
Yeah, but what can you do here? Here you go. There's his first. There's his motorized shoes.
Hmm.
I don't think somehow he'll be racing in virtual reality doing that, but I
I've just
suppose
I've
it's
just
walking on the spot, which
yeah.
is
And I think I've just noticed for the first time he's got a blue belt on. And does that tether him to the bench or wall behind him? Is there something that
I think he
maybe
may
not.
be wearing something else, a motor or
Oh,
something.
I
It looks
see.
like
Nope,
that.
not tethered.
At the beginning, I thought he was just holding his pants up. But, uh, yeah, no, there's definitely something
Nope.
to that contraption. I
Yeah.
mean, it might be to do with the remote thing he's wearing. But
Yeah.
it seems to me it's just like, I mean, um, I've seen little kids gadgets and things like that before, where the motor is on a kind of spring, so you actually move the thing forward,
Yeah.
and then obviously this is more complex, and then the spring moves you back or moves back. So it seems to be a similar principle, obviously motorized, but the idea that you can walk on the spot and that the wheels continually pull you back. So it's pretty much as effortless as say. Well, actually, it looks more. It looks like more effort than a treadmill, but I presume it'd be cheaper than um, a treadmill. If the movement seems rigid or awkward, that's mostly due to the fact it's got using manual controls.
Mm.
So presumably he is holding. No more pictures down here. Um, When I play games first person, I don't feel sick if I'm stationary in the game, but the second I start walking or running, a wave of nausea blasts my entire head. Haven't had the opportunity to test any VR mobility setups, but these shoes look kind of interesting. And what the hell's? Oh God,
Where
these
have you
sites.
gone, Hal?
No, these sites, they just have walking, talking adverts that have
Right,
nothing to
right.
do with the article you're reading.
Yep.
Anyway, I hope it wasn't me that disappeared. Did my
Nope,
sound
nope,
go or
nope.
something?
No, you're good.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. Oh, where had I gone? I'd just gone
It
down the
was
page
just
a
the
bit.
screen share. Where did it go?
It right, okay, fair enough. Yes, we went down the rabbit hole just and without my help. That was
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. All
interesting,
right.
an interesting turn up for the books. Right, moving on to what's this place called? I don't know. This is the one that is virtualrealityreporter.com. So it's three words squashed. virtualrealityreporter. I wish more of these sites had logos at the top so I don't have to read out the long ones.
Right, right.
Um, Anyway, this is an article, and I think this is actually based on a hypergrid business article, but I clicked it up anyway. Training employees is four times faster with VR, and the title of the article sounds familiar. You know, the study, should we say, sounds a little familiar. And then I get down here, and it said that. Their emerging tech lead told Hypergrid Business. So it looks like they're then going to Maria and quoting her article quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it speaks for itself, that one really. Where is it? Yes, oh yeah, I've given you virtual reality reporter, three words, squashed together.com. Moving on, Voices of VR. It wouldn't be a week here without at least one Voices of VR, and in fact, that actually is all I've got this week.
Mm.
Number 931, i.e., is ethically aligned. design on autonomous and intelligent systems and extended reality. Well, fine if you're into that stuff. I mean, it's all often a lot more interesting listening to these things than it sounds when you read the headlines, because quite frankly, I mean, ethically aligned, yeah, that sounds quite good, but autonomous and intelligent systems and extended, it's a long title,
Yeah.
and it's got all, every word I read in it is putting me off a bit more. Although I understand every word in it in its own context, do I really need, it sounds like an academic paper rather than a podcast. But there you go. Ethically aligned design is probably the short.
Well,
Um,
unfortunately, you can't unread it.
no, you got well. That's the way it's written there. Anyway, it's basically it's the talk is with a guy called John Havens, who's director of emerging technology and strategic development at the IEEE Standards Association, as well. Oh God, I'm not going to read all that lot out. Right, he's got cred. He's got credentials. I'll put it that way. So this is voicesofvr.com, VOICESOFVR.com. And I've got an article after that, which is a game industry biz, or games industry biz, GAMESINDUSTRY, which for .biz. Unfortunately, for the life of me, I can't actually load it today for you. It's the one link I keep clicking on, and it takes me to their front page, and I can't find the actual, rather than the article, and I just can't get to the article for some reason. But you are welcome to try it yourself. It may just be a glitch online at this particular point in time. The article is actually called "Fostering a Positive Community in VR." So it was quite interesting. It wasn't a long read anyway, but it was an interesting sort of post. That was 4 days ago. Gamesindustry.biz. All right, moving down. New HoloLens 2 app helps UK doctors train to identify COVID. Yep, this one I have loaded for you. Right. Um, UK based again. This is uploadvr.com. We've been there already, of course, today. But this is August the 5th, so that's for Monday or Tuesday, I should think. Right, Hollow Patient COVID-19 is a free extension of GigXR's Hollow Patient platform, produced in partnership with the UK's National Health Service and the new Resilient XR consortium. And it goes on to tell you a bit about it there. Probably not of much interest to the general public, except that almost anything that's going to help identify COVID and stuff like that is of interest to everybody at the moment. So it's one of those. It's one of those. Sort of technical things that everybody will no doubt be quite keen about. The app presents users with standardized patients showing COVID symptoms. The patient was captured using Dimension's London-based mixed reality capture studio, which features a rig with over 100 cameras that record humans 10 stitch their action. That record humans 10? Then. Typo, naughty. Right, so record humans, then stitch their actions back together as a 3D asset. The company says it's all shot, all the footage is shot under safe conditions. So read more about that, if you will, at uploadvr.com, uploadvr.com. Moving on again. Oh, we've still got that open, have we? Don't need that. Right. Okay, en route. A bit of a travel thing here. Video, making virtual travel a reality with Felix and Paul Studios. There is the video. I'm not going to play it because we'll be here all day if I do things like that. At least at this stage in the program. This is dated July 22nd, so it's not the most immediate thing. But it's out of Montreal, Canada. And the Felix and Paul Studios. Why am I getting all these pop-ups? Never mind. VR storytellers need to keep honing their craft and finding new ways to help people get lost in the moment. And a lot of this has to do with travel. Obviously, many of you would think, that's not VR, that's just 360 video type thing. But of course, VR does tend to include, I suppose the question is it a VR experience? If that is a complete panorama and you can move forward and back and things like that, then there's nothing to say it's that much different from a virtual world. I suspect, in fact, this is more of a sightseeing kind of thing. But interesting in that these things can take you places that you haven't been for, and better than they give you a more in-depth experience. This is Mongolian whatever Jew is. But I'll give you an idea here. Is if you're watching this on video, the camera, the storytelling camera, will often move at a certain pace, so you can take in a bit of the feeling of the location. That could be, I don't know, a little hut in the Himalayas or something where the hero walks in, goes to the bar, smashes a drink on the floor, and walks out again when a villain chases him. Not happening here. But when you see that in a film, you take in the environment, the set designers obviously put a lot of work into the feel of it, but it expires after several moments on film. Whereas if you've actually got a 360 virtual reality setup, you can quite literally pause and zoom into detail and move your own version of the camera around to actually examine detail. So if that was just a scene in a movie that was there for 30 seconds, you get the feel of it, but there's a whole lot of detail you would almost certainly miss. Whereas if it's filmed as a VR experience, then photographic or not, the detail is there for you to absorb and sort of get the real feel of the room. You may look at it for 3 minutes and thinking, actually, this is, it didn't look at it first, but it's actually awfully claustrophobic here, or some other emotion may trigger because of your sort of dwelling in the space. Anyway, before I rabbit hole that one, where was it? Where was it? He says. Um, yeah, en route, and this is part of Air Canada, by the way. So it's ENROUTE dot AIRCANADA.com. So enroute.aircanada.com. And right, moving on. Let's see if we got open. Yes, this is open culture, I think. Yes, indeed. I've got it loaded. Okay. Um, this site's a very good site for all sorts of things, actually. They don't particularly often have anything to do with VR, but when they do, they do. It's openculture.com. I post a lot of things to Facebook and from this site, to do with music and arts and, historical stuff. Well, it never feels like history to me, but you know what I mean, 60s and 70s music and stuff. Right, the site is called Open Culture, all one word, OpenCulture.com. And this post was on August the 5th, which would make it about Tuesday, I think. A virtual tour of ancient Rome circa 320 CE. You can explore stunning recreations of the Forum, Colosseum, and other monuments. And as they say, if you're a regular reader of this site, you're familiar with the simulation hypothesis, the idea that conscious experience is nothing more than a computer program. This concept has many sci-fi implications, from matrix-like scenarios to the radical idea that everything in the universe is software run by an incomprehensible beings who might as well be gods. One of the more plausible versions suggests we're living in an ancestor stimulation designed by future societies to recreate their past. Well, a nice little intro to explain that this is just doing it the other way around. Basically, it's recreating ancient Rome in 320 CE. The renderings here, architectural historians and vocal archaeologists, amongst them Dr. Bernard Fisher, who's Professor Emeritus at the University of Virginia. They refer back to a 2012 Open Culture post. talking about early stuff. As you can see, there's a load of videos accompanying this article too, as you actually read down there. So, if you're into ancient architecture and ancient cultures and things, which I am, this is kind of it's a nice thing. It's not a destination in any given world. All this stuff is kind of separate recreations. Um, but let's see. Actually, it doesn't. Well, at least it gives you the. You can opt for a whirlwind flyover tour at the Smithsonian. I'm not sure. Oh, here we are. Rome Reborn has an official site. Um, hey, naughty, go away. Don't want my diary on your screen. Too many pop-ups here for my liking. Well, I do set them up that way. Right. The official site appears to be www.romereborn.org. So that was easy enough. ROMEREBORN.org, which is where you can actually go to experience all that stuff. So the article, of course, at openculture.com. So moving on. Okay, this is it's just a sort of page of news rather than any one particular thing. Let me see. This comes from. Hmm, okay, it's actually a site called Immersive Web Weekly. So that's IMMERSIVEWEBWEEKLY.com, of course. And it's basically a weekly newsletter on a webpage with a list of interesting stuff about immersive tech during the week. Oddly enough, very little points here to social virtual worlds. But again, in any given week, they're obviously choosing, what to put in that list. In the more general sense, a useful sort of read. So, Immersive Web Weekly, 3 words squashed.com. I'm going to load this one. We haven't got it loaded, but given that we were looking at the motorized shoes, might as well have a look at this. This is a post at vrscout.com. And Cat VR's consumer VR treadmill apparently is the most funded VR peripheral in history. So there you go. Quite nifty, this. I mean, as you can see, it doesn't actually take that much room. In fact, there may not be, in terms of space, obviously you've got to put this on the floor somewhere. You're not wearing it on your feet. But when you consider the amount of room you would need with your motorized shoes and the amount of room that takes on the floor, it's not much in it, I would say. Anyway, full of videos there showing it working, but and showing you having the bedroom or living room or in the office or in the workroom. You can take it anywhere. Just it looks like it's probably a bit like a Roomba, one of those
Yeah,
vacuum cleaners that
right, right.
you just pull it around, or maybe you can set it to follow you around. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh my.
A robot treadmill that follows you around, so it's always there for you to jump
Mm-hmm.
on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh right.
Yeah, you wouldn't even need big houses
Definitely
anymore.
could use
Just
that.
go from yeah, lovely stuff. Okay, so that post, as I said, is at vrscout.com. So yeah, I just loaded that little extra one there for you. And that was Immersive Web Weekly that prompted me. Okay, this is BBC News. I recognise that typeface anywhere, although oddly enough, I can't see their logo. Yeah, here we are. Virtual house hunting gets a pandemic boost. Basically, they noticed that whilst people, I mean, house sales have been going ahead during the pandemic, but with people in lockdown, a lot of people are a bit nervous about going and viewing places or going and finishing their contracts and stuff like that. And the BBC has obviously noticed this, and they've noted, this. They're looking at Matterport here, but they've noticed a lot of people that are potentially buying houses are literally, wanting to see them, not so much virtual reality, but in 3D first. So they're modelled with CAD. Some perspective furniture is put in, although obviously when you buy a house, it's just a shell. And the idea is you can walk around it, and feel like it's there. And if it suits you, then you can maybe go for a real, people house hunting often have appointments to go to this, this, and the other, and go for loads, and end up drained. This way you can view everything before you start, and then just go to your final one for a double check. Um, So the reviewer is quite keen on this. This was circles appearing on the floor of the Dublin flat. Using hand controls, you can glide between them and explore. Standing in each circle, I can peer up and down whichever way I like. It's an immersive, and as I feel as if I'm there. Even moving about feels a bit like using Google Street View. So, well, that's an interesting comparison. Google Street View. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So this article is bbc.co.uk, and it's in their news section from it was posted 5 days ago. BBC is a big site, so I would remind you can go to twitter.com/malburns, MALBURNS, and you will find links to all these articles there, which means you better get to them with one click rather than go to the site and hunt around too much. Okay, moving to dazeddigital.com. That's DAZEDDIGITAL.com. And I've loaded it twice. Sorry, I don't need two at the same tab open, do I? Okay, 3D clothes and VR Fashion Week. Meet the duo making them happen. Anybody who's used Second Life will probably recognize the picture up here. When you want to make your own skin and stuff in Second Life, it looks like it's been sort of peeled off your face and then flattened out with an iron. It doesn't always look very pleasant at all. But basically, when you take a 3D skeleton and wrap these images around it, then that becomes that, basically. This is the story of Cathy Taylor and Leanne Elliott Young, who are intent on revolutionizing the long stagnant Fashion Week formula. And yes, it is all Fashion Weeky type time at the moment. Fashion Week is full steam in September, but these two are proposing that fashion doesn't immediately turn its back on the digital realm. Yeah, well, basically, they want to mix it all up. Interesting article. They don't point to. They point to places like London College of Fashion, where all this sort of stuff is going on. They don't actually seem to point to any platforms, i.e., Second Life or something, where this might be happening. But quite frankly, looking at some of these pictures here, they've definitely got a bit of an open sim. Will Second Life look to them? But I wouldn't want to swear to it, because there are so many ways of modeling 3D stuff. But I think if they want to bring anything like a catwalk into online, then maybe they will want to be filming something from a virtual place. Okay. So as I said, what was the? Can't find our. Oh yeah, dazeddigital.com. So DAZEDDIDITAL, Dazed Digital, squashed together. Right. Then we have a site here, Meta Literacy Org. Yes, that's loaded too already. Meta Literacy. Meta Literacy and our Meta Modern Times. Now, this is published earlier in the week. It's sort of based on a book written by somebody many of you know from Second Life Open Sim, Dr. Valerie Hill, Val Librarian, I think her name is, avatar's name is, around about the place. But basically, this is a guest post that she wrote for this site. That's her book there, which she's been pushing quite a lot recently. But she takes all the main subjects from the book and rounds them up in the post here. And there she is. Is that non-profit? No, it's not non-profit commons. So it's a similar sort of thing. Yeah, she talks about Second Life and Kitely, of course, which is their other base for this. And yeah, quite a lot there, and various references at the bottom. So interesting read there. on meta literacy. Oh, do you love the? Yeah, love that. I don't know how our science fiction mag ended up with the word, metastellar. Was it? It's not like metaverse and. Maria always used to say, "Why is there another site called Meta something?" And now she's gone and done it herself. So, but yeah, meta literacy and meta modern times and meta Mal's show. Yes,
Oh
wouldn't that
yeah.
be? I'm
Well,
gonna call it.
I use it too. I mean, my virtual presence is loud, LLOUD, but when I refer
Yeah,
to my real self, I'm the meta loud.
meta
Yeah,
loud. Yeah,
yeah.
and
There you
if there
go.
wasn't, I mean, I can just be meta me. But then if everybody else did that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's meta me
You're
with
you're
meta.
you're
It's meta
Mal
me
everywhere
with
you
Mal.
are. You're Mal
Yeah, it's
in real
Meta
life.
Mal with the Meta Me show. Meta
Mm-hmm.
Mal with the Meta Me show.
With the meta
Yeah,
world.
of course.
Right, right.
And Meta News and better. Well, yes, Meta.
Indeed.
Does it matter? I mean, matter.
I don't know.
Who knows? Anyway, you find that one at metaliteracy.org, metaliteracy.org, and read all about it, as the newspaper man says. Right, award winning fashion. Oh, it looks like we've got another one that's decided it needs a reload. Here we are. Back on fashion, of course. I grouped together a bit here. Award winning fashion photographer starts virtual modeling agency. This is completely different from the other article about fashion, but there we go. She's actually a fashion photographer and she's starting a virtual modeling agency. And as you can see, uh, Gen V Agency. So I've got a tissue and I've got watering eyes and I've got. I'm not reading very well because they're creating a kind of film over my eyeballs. I
Oh,
thought, ah, need to go and wash them out in a minute if I'm not careful. Right.
sympathies, Mal.
Yeah, bit of a pain actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially as I'm wearing glasses as well. Uh, right. Okay. I can't easily read this. Anyways, I'm not here to read out the whole thing. I'm just looking for cues as to kind of where it's being done. You read about people doing this, and you keep wondering, well, are they doing this in Second Life, or are they doing it in Sansar, or anywhere we know, or are they doing it offline with custom clients and then just showing it? There's a whole load of ways that fashion, the catwalk avatars and stuff can be brought into the fashion industry. I've always liked Second Life in a way because although the graphics are rudimentary, it offers opportunities for people to literally sell costumes and get ordinary user avatars to wear them, not for anything that amounts to real money, but enough. But it's also a way of prototyping things, before they're made in real life. I mean, if you've got a virtual fashion shop in Second Life and a whole load of girls usually, oh, some boats do, go in there, you can, if you are actually doing this stuff in real life, you can look at your sales in the of the virtual item and actually measure, percentage wise, what is the most popular stuff. It might be a microcosm of the real world in terms of the number of people, but the percentage wise, the numbers are probably fairly indicative of the way people want to dress and appear. And so that can sort of help with your decision as to which costumes you will actually make in the real world to try putting on the high streets, or maybe even just putting on the catwalk. And same with jewelry. In fact, I mean, there are people in Second Life who've got reputations for designing this stuff who've actually moved from Second Life into putting their products in the real world, because their costumes are so popular or their jewelry particularly is so popular. But it works the other way too. The prototyping of people who more traditionally, sort of premiere their work in the real world, so to speak, they can use virtual world as a preview.
So I have a
Anyway, all
question.
this is
I
no.
have a question.
Sorry.
I have a
Yes,
question.
indeed. Yeah.
Do the models get paid? The real life models? I mean, do they get a one-time fee or do they get a residual every time their virtual presence goes on the runway?
Oh, yeah, right. Do the virtual models get paid?
Well, the real women upon whom the
Who
models are
pose?
based. Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know. I
Or is
imagine
it like Walt
probably
Disney?
so. Well, I think of a copyright with comic books, right?
Sure. Yep.
I've been reading. So back in the 70s when I worked in the field, I was publishing stuff. I wanted artists to do what they wanted, and all they had to give away was like first rights. So they could later, after a recent period of time, sell secondary rights, but they also retained all the individual territorial rights. So they weren't selling to me, and I wasn't paying them by and large anything other than a rudimentary kind of thing for exposure, or it allowed them to do what they wanted. And this was a day when, so I had a lot of very big artists doing stuff for me because they worked for people like IPC magazines, where they received a paycheck for what they did, and it wasn't very well paid per page. And very insidious. They never signed real contracts because the contract was on the back of the check they were sent. So by it
Mm-hmm.
said by cashing this check, you agree to the contract, and then long small print contracts on the back of the check, giving IPC all rights in perpetuity, plus options on associated rights and merchandise and everything else. And they were giving away all this for pittance per page, kind of thing.
Wow.
And over the years, especially with graphic novels and things, in America, Marvel and DC changed tact a bit on this, and obviously the independent publishers started up, and this was, the rule book for them. And IPC changed after a while, but I was reading quite recently some interesting. Somebody had a guy called John Freeman, I think, had done a. Oh no, it was Hannah Berry. That was right. She was one of the comic book laureates a couple of years ago, and she'd had a survey with artists and writers, comic book creators about what they wanted and the state of the industry. And what seemed to be quite horrifying is that in order to get money, a lot of artists are actually moving back to the thing of where they're giving away more than they want to just to get paid. So that's I don't know the details. I'm not involved in that field anymore, but that was quite distressing. I thought after all the work, um, my generation, I suppose, in the 70s put into putting that idea down, and the fact it might have come across a resurgence, at least in the UK. So anyway, I'm not going to go into
Should I
that,
put up
but
the rabbit hole graphic now?
yes, yeah, yeah, we need that, don't we?
Yep.
It's relevant to your question here and what you asked me, though, I
Right, right.
think,
I'm just bringing
because,
up the point, do they get paid?
well,
And they have to
I
pay
think
attention to that. Yep.
I think of machinima, right? Now, you've got what I call inhabited machinima, filmed in places like Second Life, and then you've got the non-inhabited ones where the models are all made up by movie storms or things like that. Offline, the story's written, the whole thing's executed, and the finished work the there's no actor. There's simply an artificially created character that acts in the movie and is moved from scene to scene. But it's all a construct to tell a story. There's no sense of a living being operating the avatar. It's not really an avatar, it's a model. Obviously, in a case like that, there are no residuals or anything. The guy who spent months doing his home movie in Movie Storm owns everything about it, and if it ever gets commercial success of any sort, he'll clean up. Um, but when you have the inhabited machinima, most of the actors, because it's actually real world actors, they may not be professional, but they're performing the role of actors, are actually inhabiting the avatars that are filmed and acting out the story in the machinima. And some I know from experience, some people will go running to a shoot like that just for the cred. They're not worried about getting any money for it. Others will actually want a bit of money for it because, like models, they they consider themselves, practice at the art and worth something. But very little of that pavement where it exists will compare to anything in the real world. But there again, in the real world, I'd have to ask around. I don't know the answer to this, but if a model, high paid or not, is on the catwalk, are they being paid to appear on the catwalk and model the clothes? And if that is filmed, do they receive residuals of everybody who watches the film of that thereafter? And they may be being paid, in some ways, certainly, but they may be paid to be a model for hire, or they may be under contract to a particular fashion house. There seem to be a lot of different ways in which these supermodels can be earning money. And I suspect it's a bit like rock and roll stars. I mean, when you get a bit known, if you're savvy, you employ the right people to get your business sorted out. You look at bands like the Rolling Stones, the Who, and stuff like that. I mean, those are business money making machines of a colossal size. Because at the point where they were breaking, they knew that they want to retain all their rights. They don't want people filming them back in the mid 50s, showing those films unpaid now, or they want to control everything and maximize the income from it, which they do. Um, but there was a point in time where they would have clicked, right, we just have to do this. Originally, many of these bands that go out for millions of pounds a night now would probably have gone out for about £25 50 years ago, which was all the club would actually pay them, and you take it or leave it kind of thing. They would never have got the share of the box office. That would have been unheard of until they had become a name. So there's a lot of variables there. And I suspect, I mean, if you're talking about major actresses, actor Kate Winslet's and all that, well, no, she's actress, more model, but, name people, then I suspect the money flying about is quite a lot. And if somebody actually creates a virtual model, which is quite literally a spitting image of a real world supermodel, then I'm pretty sure there'd be some licensing arrangement there where the person using or promoting with the virtual character would be paying the real character royalties, probably not the same as personal appearance, but the equivalent to merchandising. So I'm not getting down another rabbit hole,
Oh, it's
but
too late. It's too late. You've
it's
gone
too
down
late.
the
I
rabbit
know,
hole.
but okay. Well, it's worth talking about this because it's the sort of thing people bring up now and again. Like,
Yeah.
do people get paid for that? And I said, well, of course they don't get paid. They're just having a fun time, Or on the other hand, well, they do sort of get paid, but they get micropayments that very rarely add up to much. Or on the other hand, they get paid in micropayments, but they're so successful they're making a fortune in real life. Think of the land moguls in Second Life in the early days, that made an absolute fortune renting land off Linden, subdividing it, and renting it themselves. Um, you know, it's not so the money making now, but there was one person whose name I've forgotten already, but she was in the headlines of all the financial papers and everything back in the day, because she was making an absolute fortune as a property mogul in Second Life. Anyway, moving on. I think I better. Um, at least it gave me an excuse to look away from the screen and my watering eyes.
Ah.
So there, the redeeming feature of the rabbit hole. Right, moving on. This site is VR Focus, as we've come to know it. I can tell that from looking up here. Except that I've gotten a bit lost here. Oh yeah, here we are. Okay, vrfocus.com. 5 days ago, this one, Immerse's virtual enterprise platform opens its doors to companies worldwide. Immerse has been around for a while, but it seems to be moving towards the enterprise. They're a British technology company, I hasten to add, and they've been working on virtual reality training solutions for 6 years. It has been available to select clients such as BP, Shell, GE Healthcare, and Facebook, oh help us, for the last 3, and now it's seeing their official launch for other companies to adopt. And then it goes into about all the sort of stuff their virtual environment does for the enterprise. I should hasten to add. Right, so find that at vrfocus.com. Right, why choose 3D for your next virtual event? And Lisa Payson, I know that woman from somewhere. Well, I know the avatar, I know the handle, I think it's the same thing, the same name. What am I looking at here? Why not choose 3D? Oh yeah, here we are. This is at venturebeat.com, venturebeat.com. And basically, it's a bit of reasoning, isn't it? Why would you want to choose 3D for your next virtual event? And she is going to attempt to tell you. It's odd. This is one of those really odd things. I think she's referring to the fact why wouldn't you use virtual reality and immersive space for your online event? From of late, sort of people refer to virtual events these days as simply being an event that's somewhere on the internet. It might be a Zoom call or a webinar or anything. It's a virtual event. So she's using the expression choose 3D to actually sort of, why not choose a real virtual event for your so-called virtual event? Yes, that's the way I would write it.
Yeah. Where I work, the same issue has happened where we have people attending virtual conferences, but it's all pre-recorded videos and web meetings. So 3D's here, people. You can use 3D for your virtual conferences.
Yeah, in fact, it's the real virtual.
Right, right.
As opposed to the fake virtual.
Well.
Yeah. Um, what's the... No, forget what I was going to say anyway. Right, okay, so this one, as I said, was venturebeat.com. I retweeted a post from Philip Rosedale immediately before that. It's a tweet. There was no link to go with it. Philip Rosedale tweeted, "For creating undiscovered new forms of life, there is no difference between a faraway planet and a sufficiently fast computer." That's your thought for the week, folks.
Sure.
Thank you, Philip. He does a lot of that these days. On his hands, I think. Now, actually, I will. No, I'll come back to it. No, I'm near the end of this bit, so let's get these out of the way first before I go to the other things. So, did I give you this one? The links to this? Oh yeah, VentureBeat, wasn't it? Right. Okay, back to roadtovr.com. ROADTOVR.com. And this is oh, well, it's a different article about the same thing. I didn't realize I put 2 separate links up here. The VR treadmill, CATS VR. This is the one that is extremely popular. And this is just a report on their extra funding from Road to VR. And then finally, or rather actually the very first thing of the week, really, will be, and there'll be another one tomorrow, no doubt. This is the Ghost Towels with their weekly roundup of all the news. Exactly a day after mine. Here. Scarredghost.com is the site you want. SKARREDGHOST.com. And the week peak, the week peak, the peak, the week peak. Come again. Was from last Monday, of course, talking about OpenXR, cool features, new things in Oculus runtime. OpenXR ready for prime time. Right, we know about the Oculus thing. Well, we didn't really, but new Quest might have 3 IPD positions. Pokemon Go. Niantic is not building its AR glasses. Emerge as a new competitor for Ultraleap. Leap Motion is Ultraleap, of course. Facebook Reality Labs says varifocal optics are almost ready for prime time. Coronavirus stops CES but gives new. Yes, this is interesting. Well, not interesting really, but Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas is obviously, we've had this all year. Conferences going virtual because of COVID. This one actually took its time. I guess initially they were rather hoping COVID would be over. I think that was wishful thinking because they are now CES 2021 will now be online. AI, CGI, and AR will give people and companies automated photo studios. LG may be working on glasses. Economy of the metaverse. And well, you can see it's all here. I'm not going to give you all his links to. Fair's fair. I think you should actually go to scarredghost.com, and every Monday you'll find the XR Week Peak with this stuff. You'll also find almost every day there's an in-depth review of something. And when I say in-depth review, I mean it's a book every day on one focused on one thing as a rule. So excellent stuff there. Right, let me go down the list. 6 days ago. We're back to August 1st. Right, so actually, with that, I've finished there. I'm going to quickly shift to our other feed, Metaworld News. And these are actually a lot of these. Well, let's start at the bottom first to get myself. There's not that many here. There was blog Science Base. That was a founders meetup that happened midweek. Unfortunately, it was a founders meet where the founder was talking without sound. From my point of view, apparently some people could hear him, some people couldn't. But I was there for about half an hour, and I kept saying, "Should I be hearing something?" And I say, "Yes." Should I be hearing something? Yes. I kept relogging, tweaking, and everything else, and nothing happened. And actually, the same happened to me on another platform shortly afterwards. But but then I went to somewhere I knew, and everything was fine. So go figure. Right. Hypergrid Business 3 days ago. This they're conducting. I might as well load it.
Your audio's going away, Mal. Perhaps it's what's being loaded. Still not hearing you, Mal. Still lots of breakup. Do you want to switch to in-world voice?
Refresh my system to see if that will help a bit.
Okay, I've put you on in-world.
I've just I've freed up a load of RAM now. Is that any better?
Nope, I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, switch me to in-world review voice and tell me when.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, folks. Well, I'm sort of still here, or rather, I'm back, or whatever. James told me that my voice was breaking up. I thought it was my eyes that were going wonky, but never mind. So he switched me from our Discord channel into an in-world channel. I have absolutely no idea why my voice is breaking up. Hopefully, it's working better here. Is it, James?
It seemed like perhaps when you
loaded a tab.
Loaded tab. Yep.
Hypergrid Business. Okay, well, Firestorm is a viewer, and originally it was a third-party viewer for Second Life, but then people were using it with Open Simulator, and ultimately there's now two versions. One with Linden proprietary stuff in it for Second Life, and then another version for Open Sim. The viewer developer team has created a quick 3-question survey to help them determine their user base in Open Simulator and what problems people are having with viewer compatibility. And this is Hypergrid. And the link there will take you to the survey. I'm actually going to follow it for you just in case I can give you an easier. Oh God, no, that looks like an even more complicated address. Okay, it's a fairly easy little survey anyway. So if you go to Hypergrid Business and you can follow the link to the survey from there. Um, I'm not quite sure what this exactly is about. I put it in Metaworld News. This is a site called hackmd.io. So that's hackmd.io. And it's supposed about avatar interoperability. It starts with a snow crash quote. Quote. Um, People seem to own less and less nowadays, including digital assets and whatever. But can't we at least have offline copies of avatars and also take steps to make sure we really open it? Open standards like GLTF and ERC 1155, yes, indeed, are making such a possibility real. And they're looking at VR Character Maker, VRoid, VRM, all sorts of stuff here. Anybody who creates avatars and is interested in that sort of stuff, it looks like there's more than thorough investigation here. Some we know, VR Chat, for example, Anarchy Arcade, who knows what that is? Many of these, many probably be games too, but it's sort of clicking through to find out how to do things. The interesting one here, wherever it is oh yeah, is Somnium Space, um, which is getting there's a lot more stuff happening and being broadcast and stuff from in there now, and they do make a point of the fact that you own everything you do there. In fact, it's like the original Second Life, ready a world there ready to be created. The only problem is to do anything. You have to have some kind of Bitcoin or Ethereum sort of, these new virtual currencies to operate your account because although a lot of stuff is free, there's still a lot of buying and selling between users, notwithstanding land, which you have to buy chunks of land in, bitcoins and things like that. Um, but it's interesting that there are links where you can go to actually create stuff, particularly for them. So, um, there's more stuff than is obvious at first glance mentioned here. So, where was I? It's a simple Earl. It's hackmd.io. And then, in fact, you can even go to the backslash, the @ symbol, and then XR will take you to a subdirectory. But again, you can go to Metaworld News on Twitter and follow the link. Right. Similar topic again. This is supposed to medium.com. I believe this is one of the ones that's not behind a firewall. We're about to find out. Introducing Avatars 3.0. This is a post from VR Chat, dated August the 7th. 8-minute read, this is. The next step in the evolution of their avatar creation system, and they think it will enhance the VR chat community. There's been mixed feelings about this, actually. Some people think it's a downgrade.
Sure, sure.
But it's basically they've announced a whole new avatar system, and this blog tells you all about it.
You
So
know, with
quite a
with
bit.
VR chat being supported on the Oculus Quest, I wonder if it's a downgrade to allow Quest users access to more of the areas of VR chat. That's kind of what happened
I
with a video game recently.
Yeah, I think I have mentioned that somewhere. And there's
Yeah,
another piece of there was another thing earlier today which I didn't load and mention. I forget what it was, but yet another thing, for example, that is no longer supported on the Oculus Go. I mean, Facebook have dropped it; they don't sell them anymore or anything. But I mean, it seems like only a few weeks go by and something that cost you, it wasn't an insignificant amount, um, suddenly doesn't even work as old tech because they've removed everything that was in it, so it becomes a money waster. And I'm used to being on an old computer or using old tech and knowing that they've got limitations because it's old. But I don't expect it to not work at all, you know. Um, anyway, rabbit holing. No, we were not rabbit holing. Anyway, as I say, where was this? This was at Medium. No, it wasn't at medium.com. It is at medium.com. But to get to it, you need to yeah, you. Oh no, sorry. Actually, you do go to Medium. You were medium.com, medium.com, and then slash VR chat, or one word, VRCHAT, and then it's a post there. It must be free to read once you get to the VR chat section, or I would have had a pop up by now telling me it's a paywall. Right, so put that one away. Put XRP week away. So the only other things I've got here now, two more recent ones. I will play this one. This is the YouTube. This is from somebody called Daisy Winthrop on YouTube. This is an advert for the Stereo Wave Music Festival, V2, which is right here where we're coming from in Sansar. Well, not this location, but this platform. And give them a free little bit of advertising there. 14th and 15th, which is next week, of course. Now, what was today night? Yeah, end of the week next week, I guess. There has been one of these before, but of course, this one promises to be better because it's under the new management. And we also have another one at YouTube, which I posted on Metaworld. This goes on a little bit, but this is another one which is promoting Sansar. It's World Explorers, and this particular one is episode 16. It's called Does Loki Blink? This is published by a YouTube account called Zero Cheese. He's a fairly active person here in Sansar. Zero well, hang on, let me hopefully you can see that. ZERO space CHEESE. And this is filmed in Sansar. It's got a bit of a interface on it, and I can't tell. I think maybe this has actually been filmed from inside a headset or something, just because of the way they're doing it. It's probably the Sansar equivalent of the old Hypergrid Explorers club that there's a ran in OpenSim for a long while, sort of a weekly explorers thing, and being filmed. It runs to just over an hour, so it does take a little bit of perseverance, shall I say, should you really want to go to that. So I'm going to close that one. I'm not actually going to play it all the way through for you. Finally, on the other side of my screen here, we have a number of other videos. Actually, quite a lot this week. Upload VRs, the one you're very keen on, James, didn't happen this week, I gather. They apologised. They're taking a week off.
Right,
There was
right.
some snag that they were going to be somewhere else.
Right.
I posted there's another feed, twitter.com/Malburns_writer, which I don't really
Oh,
promote here.
now I got to bring up that title.
Yes, that's my Second Life avatar name. It's my original sort of tweety feed for Second Life. Now I'm now sending Second Life films, machinima sort of things there, as opposed to all the other platforms which go to Metaworld News. But there are some quite interesting things, including earlier this week I published quite a lot of films by an artist called The Secret Rage, and one is actually a show that I've got here on Slack called Adopting Stories for the Stage. But on the actual feed, I must have posted about 20 other literary theatre performances held inside Second Life that she actually filmed. Of varying quality. The film quality is excellent, by the way, on all of them. When I say varying quality, I'm talking about the theatrical troupe performing them. But most of them are pretty good, especially as their adaptations of well-known things. So they can get too free and loose with the topics. Um, so yeah, let me go to an example here. I think her account is just called The Secret Rage. Definitely well worth subscribing to. Yeah, The Secret Rage. TheSecretrage. The one we're looking at here in particular is actually the tutorial about adapting stories for the stage, and that's about an hour long thing from August the 2nd. Right, closing now. Don't have time for everything. Um, right, that was Monday. Tuesday. Just have a look at this. This was all these I actually keep offline in Slack as noteworthy sort of things to follow up on. New Play Together World VTuber submission. Oh yes, SIGGRAPH, another thing, conference type thing that will be online, of course. This I think. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is just 1 minute or so by somebody called Amanda. Well, as you see, it was very short. It was promoting their thing at SIGGRAPH. There's a Sansar virtual tour, which again you'll find in the Sansar account on YouTube. Game makers. Here we are. This was a show called The Economy in the Metaverse. The YouTube channel is called Game Makers. And Tim Sweeney, CEO of the hit game Fortnite maker Epic Games, goes all out in a Noel Bars interview discussing competition from Apple, Google, Facebook, and others. How could the economic problems with today's platforms be resolved in the future platform of I presume that says metaverse. Yes, it does. Um, so obviously, again, I'm not going to play it to you, but you'll find it at the account called Game Makers. It is embedded. No, it's not. Sorry, this is just a tip thing. But it was a very interesting interview, and mentions, Epic are talking about a metaverse. I think it's like Facebook. They see a metaverse as their metaverse, but they do actually understand the concept. Right, putting that one away. The next one is somebody who will undoubtedly be well known. This was recorded on Friday, and it's a Linden Lab product and their Second Life account. It's Second Life on YouTube. But Strawberry interviewed Second Life's founder, Philip Rosedale, about what he's doing now and the history of Second Life and everything else. And it was very interesting. So, as I say, you'll find this on Second Life, 2 words, YouTube account. And the only thing that after all these months she hasn't learned to do is hide a bloody interface. Anyway, that was an excellent interview. I actually stuck around live for that one. So, and you know, there's lots of pussycats around here, by the way. Interesting touch. Okay, so that's on YouTube, and there's some. Right, I played the preview of that Stereo Wave Festival, the World Explorers. I did. Right. Oh yeah, one other one. Oh right. Actually, we don't really need this one. If you have a Macintosh, there is a program you can get in beta at the moment called
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically got all sorts of things to enhance making either your video calls or actually broadcasting and stuff like that. Yeah, I haven't got 5 minutes to go through this, but actually, I've been playing it before. You will get the idea. I'm just going to flick through bits. This guy, by the way, he who's come up with this. He was actually the founder of Evernote. I'm sure many of you heard of
Oh
Evernote.
yeah, I know Evernote.
That was his original thing. He's been doing other things since, but this is his new baby that he's sort of. It's not an Evernote killer; it's a different thing entirely. But um, basically, that's one virtual background. These are various other insets that can be virtual or whatever you want. Um, oh yeah. There's a little bit just before here. All right. Oops. So there, basically, he's shrunk himself. There's a control where he can adjust um, his outline, which basically is like a green screen effect. Yeah, see, he just goes down there, so he can give you a whole different impression. You can use the same background, but give the impression that you're much further away or closer up to the camera. So it allows for that, and charts, of course. Backgrounds, yeah, you can load feed. Now, I like to look at this because I thought, hey, this is what I do on my show, isn't it? Scroll through web pages and show them while I'm talking. And unfortunately, I did find out a bit too late for James here and others that this is actually only available on the Mac at the moment.
And
But
beta, it's also invitation only.
yes,
At
yeah,
early alpha, actually, I thought he said.
yeah, yeah. If anybody out there wants to has me and wants to get in touch with me on Discord, um, if you do filming and stuff like that, then I have to email you. You have to give me your email address, and I have to email you a kind of co-presenter link, which will get you into the beta. It can support two operators at once, right? So, for example, if I was using this to do this show, James and I could both have control of the interface at the same time. So unlike where I'm just sharing my desktop to James and he's got another, it switches between screens, in this we could be both interactively doing things at the same time. So one person could be controlling an inset department. Other person could be controlling the live character up front. Anyway,
But
we're not
will
here
your
to.
picture enlarging tool work?
Um,
I joke. I joke.
Oh, good point. Good point. I think if it's actually loading, yeah, actually, if it's loading a web page, I would lose some of my offline facilities because those are actually plugins to my browser. So I have no control over which browser they would be using to load pages.
Yep.
Um, but it might well be. I mean, many people use Chrome as their, the core browser inside their software. So if it's Chrome, you'd actually find most of the plugins I use would work with Chrome. I use Opera, but I've got it set up to use Chrome plugins, so they tend to work all over the place. Anyway, with that, we've been through a bit of everything. We even got the picture gallery up for brief moments as well, so
Yeah. Yeah.
not doing bad today. Yes, there's nothing else there. I don't think there's anything. Oh yeah, there we are.
Oh right.
That's the other news of the week. I couldn't resist that.
Yeah.
That's a picture of the latest space test rocket taking off, and all I could think of was a big. You will believe a big fat skyscraper can
Right.
fly
Right.
because it is. I mean, it's literally like building. It's like building a sort of skyscraper apartment building that's tall enough and wide enough to be a space traveling vessel. And I guess they just build it on its side so when it levels out in space, it can be. Well, actually, there's no gravity in space, so they could even keep it. Well, no, I suppose it's true. Anyway, I just thought, you look at something like that. It is a big fat skyscraper, and it actually took off and it landed upright,
Yeah.
which is even more remarkable.
Yeah.
So yeah, big spacey thing there. I forget what it was last week. I never did figure out what the space the space thing we were trying to think of was, but it didn't really matter, I guess. But yeah, so we had picture posts there. Okay, so I think we're about done for that. In fact, I will leave that up because it's easier to look at something like that than there you are.
Oh,
That's the news. This is what we're doing next week.
okay.
Your decision. Will we go this way or that way? It's just one of those questions I never seem to be able to answer.
All right.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so any thoughts, James, about all that? Well, I've got got a nice neutral picture up.
Yeah, well, just I thought I'd share on screen. I don't know if you can see the video feed from YouTube, but I just thought
Ah,
I'd show the change in my desktop. So this image is across both desktops, and it's showing I'm capturing one Sansar screen on the left, and on the right a second
uh,
Sansar screen, and it's
right. Now I can't
it's a lot of
display
setup
this because it's Oh, hang on. You're showing it from where?
on the YouTube
In
channel
this.
and in the recording.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yep.
No, I can't see that, but I will see it later. Okay.
Yep.
So yes, I can't see it, but do talk folks through it.
Well, it's just I think I've learned some new techniques, and it's nice to have the different camera angles to switch to. It's a little more TV studio like.
Right. Oh, I can't wait to see that. I mean, for one reason or another, I don't load up another machine with YouTube on it while I'm on the show. So,
Right, right.
but yeah, oh, that could be good.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Right. So
So
a bit of how to for you all
a
there
little
with
bit
our
of
little look,
inside, right,
a bit of and a little bit of
behind the
James on
scenes.
OBS.
Right, right.
Have you tried using the Streamlabs OBS, by the way, at all?
No,
Do
no,
you use
I'm
that? You
happy.
just use the regular OBS,
Happy
do
with
you?
vanilla.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
the
maybe our
Streamlabs.
viewers aren't happy with vanilla, but
It's no Streamlabs is it's the same program. It's just it it doesn't even reskin it per se. It just allows the broadcast itself to be skinned a lot more, get a bit more flashy and stuff like that. But I can imagine for some programs where you want to liven things up a bit, it could be useful. But I don't really see it being that helpful for this show. But for other things maybe. Anyway, that is that. That is that. I have to go running around Sunstar here and see if we can dig up enough people in here to do a show with an audience, like a Nimbo review or something. Because they can sit on seats in front of us here, actually. And we do know a few people are in Sunstar, so we shall go and have a look.
yeah.
In fact, I'll click, don't want to give anything away, but I'm going to click on friends and people. Oh, why have I got two James Out Louds? Maybe there are two James Out
Because
Louds.
there are two James. I'm running two Sansars.
Oh, they're both with the same name. Okay.
Yep.
Well, we've got a few old friends in here: Daisy Winthrop, Loki Elliott, Dr. Fran, Chantal Harvey, E Predator. I don't think any of them are Isabel Sharon. I got enough to invite them to share. Don't know what we'll talk about, but got enough people. Right. Okay. Well, with that, I think we will leave you for this week. I've just changed the outgoing picture on our screen yet again. This is
Oh,
just an
I
in-world shot.
haven't been showing it. Sorry.
Oh, right. Well, no, it's just there's something there. that one actually happens to be an in-world picture of they call it a fireside chat thing. I haven't been able to get to a live one. I thought there's some of them are filmed, but it's held by billions of us. And I don't think they've had one for a few weeks now, but they
Mm.
usually have a sort of special old timer guest and stuff.
All right.
Anyway, it was just something to look at while we were talking. I'm sure they've had enough of me and my glasses and my hat and my fake beard by now. Right, okay. So I think it's time to say goodbye. Certainly goodbye from me, and goodbye from goodbye from him.
And goodbye from him.
In other words, goodbye from the two of us. It's easy when you know how, isn't it?
Mm.
We will see you same time, same place next week with another thrilling adventure in Metaworld News. Well,
Well,
it's thrilling for some of us.
and I need to mention I can't get our outro video to play properly, so
Oh
I'll
right.
just
Well, I
we'll
reckon,
sign
I
off.
reckon, I reckon, just switch the camera to my screen share and leave that still for a couple of seconds, and then we're off.
Very good.
So we'll see you next week. Have a good one, and stay safe, of course. Bye bye.